Hi, I'm so glad you could join me today. My name is the Gypsy, and we will be doing this oil painting tutorial of Whitby Abbey. I'm really excited to do this. Whitby Abbey was the inspiration for Bram Stoker's Dracula's Carfax Abbey. It is located in North Yorkshire, England. It's on the east coast of England. It is a very, very old structure. It dates back to roughly about 650 AD, somewhere in there. 650. I think I read 657 AD. Anyway, very old abbey. During King Henry VIII's reclamation, he kind of destroyed the abbey, took everything out of there, and kind of left it in ruins. But the abbey still serves a purpose to this day. It is a landmark. Sailors coming in from sea have used it for centuries as a landmark to the spot where the coast is and the spot where they're going. Hitler, for whatever reason, during World War II, bombed the area around the abbey. I'm really sure that an abbey that's in ruins is going to be something that's very harmful to the Third Reich. But idiots everywhere, you know. Anyway, the abbey sits up on this large hill above the town of Whitby, England. And Whitby's like down in this valley and the abbey's up above it. To get up to the abbey and the cemetery that's by the abbey, it takes 199 steps. There are 199 steps coming from the village down below up to the abbey. Now, I know I've titled this painting Whitby Abbey Cemetery, but in reality the cemetery doesn't belong to the abbey. It belongs to St. Mary the Virgin Church right next door to the abbey. But these graves actually come up to where the abbey is. So rather than title the painting Whitby Abbey St. Mary's the Virgin Cemetery, which would have been a name this long, I just shortened it to Whitby Abbey Cemetery. Hope you can forgive me for that. Let's go through the supplies that you're going to need today. And I'm having to do something that every artist has to do once in a while, and I really hate it. And I'm sure other artists hate it too. I'm going to have to break in some new brushes today. Brand new brushes. These are Taklon, and I've never really used Taklon before. This is kind of an experiment for me, so this is going to be kind of fun. They're a multi-purpose brush. I usually use sable, or sometimes I'll use a different type of synthetic brush, not Taklon. But today, most of the time I use sable. That's what I usually stick with. But today, we're going to go ahead. I don't want horsehair. I use horsehair once in a while. But we're going to go ahead and try these Taklon brushes. We're going to break these in, and it should be interesting. I don't know, out of these brushes, to be honest with you, which ones I'm going to use. So just have all your brushes ready, and I'll call them out as I pick them up, and we'll go from there. If you've done other tutorials with me, you know that I very seldom use a wide range of brushes. I kind of limit the amount of brushes that I use. I don't know why I do that. I just do. I don't like a whole lot of brushes. Maybe I just hate cleaning brushes. That could be it. But I will show you the paints that we're going to be using today so that you can get those paints ready. So we'll be using black. That's a Winton black is what that is. Winton and Newton black. And we will be using, if I can get it to set back down upright, we'll be using titanium white. Be using a lot of that today. So hopefully you got a big tube. We'll be using burnt sienna. You gotta remember to hold these tubes in the right direction so you can read the labels. We're going to be using sand. We're going to be, I keep hitting something down there that's not letting me put my paint back. Oh, I see what it is. It's a pencil. Let me get that out of the way. Okay. So we'll be using sand. We'll be using Algerian crimson or Algerian red. Some people call it Algerian red. I like to call it Algerian crimson. We'll be using gray. We'll be knocking over our paint tubes. We'll be using lemon yellow. We'll be using plant green, which is like a phthalo green. So if you have phthalo green, go ahead and grab that. That's fine. It's just like this plant green. It's about the same color. We'll be using a warm... Do I got the right way? Nope. Of course I don't. We'll be using warm gray. We'll be using Viridian. I love this when it comes to mixing greens. England has some of the prettiest green foliage I've ever seen. Green grasses and what have you. And this Viridian is really going to give that effect, the same effect that England has on their green grasses and foliage. We're going to be using phthalo blue. We will be using raw sienna. I love this color. I love this color. These are my favorite colors. We'll be using deep yellow. Okay, those are the colors that we're going to be using to create this painting. Now, if you print it off the example, and if you didn't, you can go to the Facebook page under discussion, and the sample's there. You can print it off there. If you print off the sample, you may be looking at that going, how are we going to get that done in a couple hours? Well, trust me, we will get it done in a couple hours. It's not as complicated as you may think it is. It's pretty simple, actually, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So, we got all of those. We used a palette knife. The last time I did an oil painting with you, we're not going to use a palette knife this time, so you can set it off to one side. Oh, I almost forgot. We will be using an 1.5 inch and a 2-inch brush. Okay, so you need to have those ready. I've had these brushes a long time. I may need to get new brushes at some point. And then also, make sure that you have your mineral spirits. I love this container here. It has little ridges on the inside. I need to actually show this to you sometime when I don't have paint in it. But I love this container. I mean paint, when I don't have mineral spirits in it. I love this container because it has these places for your brushes around the side. You can tell I use this container a lot. And then down on this side here, there's little ridges on an angle, help you clean out your brush. Then on this side, you can soak your brush and kind of dry it out and what have you before you go back in again and start painting. So make sure you have your mineral spirits. I use odorless mineral spirits, and it's the best thing you can use. So what do you say we get started on this painting? You excited to do it? I know I am. So we will get started with it. I'm going to reach over here and I'm going to minimize myself. We're doing our famous Alice in Wonderland thing where I get smaller and smaller and smaller, and there I am, up in the corner. That's me in the corner. That's me in the spotlight. No, I won't go there, I'm sorry. Anyway, let's get started on this painting. I'm in, pretty good mood today, and I hope you're in a good mood too. So, first thing we're going to do, we're going to get our phthalo blue. Let me find it over here. It's hiding on me. There it is. We're going to get our phthalo blue. We're going to put a little bit on our palette. Oh, my palette, by the way, is just a cutting board. It's just an acrylic cutting board. That's all it is. I don't know what palette you have, but mine's an acrylic cutting board. They're cheap. They're easy to replace, and they do the job well. So I'm going to get my phthalo blue, and I'm going to throw it out there. A little bit of phthalo blue, and I am going to get some titanium white. Put it on my palette over here. Some titanium white. Look at that. That's nice. All right. And what we are going to do, and I'll grab the palette here because I want you to see this. I want you to see this mixing process that we do. Make sure canvas is where it's supposed to be. Okay. All right. You can see the phthalo blue here. You can see titanium white. You see this oil right here? That's linseed oil. That's what makes oil paints oil paints. It don't matter if you have a little linseed oil dripping down. It's not going to make a difference on anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. Which brush do I want to use for this? Let's use the 2-inch to start with. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little bit of that phthalo blue, just like that. I'm going to grab some of that titanium white. I'm going to pull them both together till I get the color that I'm wanting right here, which is about like that. Now I'm going to come up here, and starting on this corner here, I'm just going to kind of brush in there a little bit, just like that. Just kind of brush it in just a little bit. Just, you want it on there thin, you don't want to put it on thick, okay? Just brush it in. Do it again, grab a little bit of the phthalo blue, grab some of the titanium white, mix them together in that nice little color, okay? And then come back in and do it again. Just kind of brush it through there. Okay, you just want to brush it through. See that curve that I'm going on? All that same type of curve I'm doing right there. That's what you want to do. It's fine to have these blank areas. As a matter of fact, I want you to have those blank areas. They're important in the overall effect of this painting. Okay, come up here. Do it again. Go back and forth, just like that. Just bring it back and forth. You want to come up like this. You want to keep doing that. Grab a little bit of the phthalo blue, grab a little bit of the titanium white, mix it together using your brush, and keep that momentum going. Keep it just going back and forth. And when you get roughly about, well, I don't know, 2/3 of the way down the canvas, then we're going to start working this all back, okay? So again, just keep working your long strokes. Just keep working with long strokes. You want a variation of the blues in here, okay? Those blues are actually going to really set off the canvas and set off that ruins of the Abbey right there. This is going to be a very dramatic focal point of your entire painting. That sky will just make you just jump up and shout when we get done with it. You're going to wish that you were actually where this place was so that you could see that sky in person. So we will get this, we'll get these long strokes in. Notice I'm just coming back and forth with these strokes on an angle, just like that. Some long strokes. Now, notice we're about 2/3, maybe a little bit further than that, down this canvas. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to come here and we're going to taper that in. So what we're going to do is we're still going to do the long strokes, but we're going to taper back into our stopping point right there, just like that. Just come in and taper into it. Just like that. Taper back in again. Just taper in. You can go back and forth. Taper that in. Do it again. Some long strokes. Taper them in. Just like that. Watch what you're doing though, okay? What you're doing is you're going to come almost all the way down until you're almost straight across right here. But you're going to keep tapering. You got to taper it. Taper in. Taper in. Just like that. We're going to do this. We're going to get it in. You're almost straight across right there. We're pretty close right there. Kind of like that right there. Okay, once you get that done, don't clean your brush. See, we got that blue going on in the brush right now. Don't clean the brush. What we want to do next is we want to grab this titanium white over here without going back to the blue, okay? We just want to grab that. And what we're going to do, we're going to lightly brush that titanium white in there. In any place where you see that gap at, okay? Any place where you see a gap, you want to just brush that titanium white back into there. Just like that. You don't want it on there thick. We want it on there fairly thin, okay? So any place where you see the canvas peeking through, brush the titanium white back into there. Just brush it in. You don't have to press hard. Just work it. Notice I'm just working one direction here. I'm not going back and forth this time like I did before. I'm just working in one direction. Just work that titanium white in there. Now, as you can see, I ran out of titanium white, so we need to get some more. told you we're going to use a lot of titanium white today. And we will too. Try not to touch the end of your tube onto the palette where the color is. If you do that, you have a tendency to corrupt the color of the tube. So you want to keep that color pure. Keep it pure, you don't touch the tip. So just keep grabbing just grab it on there. Just spread it along with the brush. And any place where you see canvas poking through, just lightly brush it. Just brush it. Make sure there's no ridges, make sure it's smooth. You want it smooth. Just lightly brush it in there. You just want to brush. Get it in there. Like I said, don't go back and forth on this one, okay? You just want to brush this in. Just brush it in. Just like that. Get this nice little effect of rolling clouds there. We're gonna, as soon as we get all these areas of canvas that are peeking through here, we're gonna come back in. We're gonna fluff this up. Or make them fluffy. I'll show you how we're gonna do that. And I think you'll have fun with it. So as you see, all I'm doing in one direction, any place where I see the canvas peeking through, I'm going back over with my brush with the titanium white in it. Just run that titanium white in there. Just like that. Now if you notice on my acrylic painting tutorials, that when I go in with the acrylic paint, I never hold the palette. That's because I'm mixing the acrylic paint directly onto the palette, which is what I'm doing here also, but the difference is that the acrylic dries quickly. So by leaving it on the palette and not moving it around, you see how much I'm moving this palette around, it helps keep it from drying quickly, it helps keep it moist longer. But when I'm working with oil, I can move around all day long because oil takes a little while to set, so it don't make a difference. Alright, we're almost there. Just one direction, don't go back and forth with it, just pull that titanium white one direction and cover every place where your canvas is showing through. It's looking pretty nice, isn't it? This will make a really dramatic sky. Okay, so now we got all the places where canvas was peeking through. We got them covered. Now, you are going to take, and this is the case where I won't be breaking in a new brush because I need a thicker fan brush for this. So, take your fan brush, take your thickest one that you have. Load the very end of the brush with the titanium white. Just load it up there. See how that's loaded? Just make sure it's all the way across. Look at your original drawing. Look at your original drawing. You see these white ridges of clouds in here? Well, what you want to do is about in the same area where you see those, you want to take your fan brush, just a little tiny circular motion, okay? And you want to work that. Make sure every time that you load the brush, that you're loading it just right on the very end. Just kind of, it's a little tight brushing circular motion is all it is. Get it up in there. I want a little bit more through here. Do your painting where it feels right for you. I'm doing what feels right for me, but you do what feels right for you. You see that little effect that we ended up with the fan brush? You got that little separation of cloud in there. Just like that. Now we're going to do this longer streak right here. Load up the end of the fan brush. And I'm going to go, I may put a second layer that isn't in the original photograph in there, just looking at what happened one streak. again, you got to do what you feel's right. So you're doing this little brush up, this little circular motion, just like that. Just kind of brush it up, get it in there. You want this, I'm not a meteorologist, so I can't really tell you the type of clouds these are, what they're called. But these are the same type of clouds that when they congeal and they come closer together and they compact themselves, they create snow. Now I don't think they're expecting snow in this photograph here because the grass is too green. You never know those England, you know. But these are definitely a type of storm cloud. You know, they're coming together, it's gonna storm, you can tell it's gonna storm. I'm gonna go ahead and do, no, it's not in the original photograph. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. This is a nice thing when you paint, you create the world. You don't necessarily have to follow the original photograph. That's not a necessity. What you do have to do is you have to create something that feels right to you. This is your painting, this is your world that you're creating. So whatever feels right to you, that's what you're going to do. See, now we've got these nice little areas going on here. Isn't that nice? I'm going to do it one more time right down in here. I think what I want to do is right in this area right here. I'm going to go ahead and do that one more time. I'm going to just come up in here. But this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way across the canvas. I'm not going to do as dramatic as I did up here. And you notice whenever I load this brush that I'm making sure that I get all the edges loaded. That's the only way fan brush will work properly. You can work off the edge. A lot of times if you're doing trees or some little detail thing like waves on a seascape, you can load the edge to get the effect you want. But most of the time when you're loading a fan brush, you want to load it all the way across. You want to use all the bristles. See, I'm just doing these little circular upstrokes right there. Looking pretty dramatic, isn't it? I like the drama. I like the drama of the painting. My favorite thing. Oh, look, I got a little extra white there, which I will smooth out. And then come all the way across here. Just like that. There we go. Now you can see we got this nice little curving of these clouds here going on. Right down in this area right here, right through here, I'm going to put the bottom layer of the clouds. Now if you were in Kansas and these clouds are black and you had that separation down at the bottom, this is what you would call the wall cloud configuration. In England, they're just clouds. I'm going to come back from the other direction here to do that separation. What I'm going to do with the separation, I'm still using the same type of stroke, except I'm going backwards now that we used up above. I want to get the paint on here first, and then I'll show you something. Now, I don't know whether this will show up or if the Abbey will cover it, but it's there just in case. Okay, so now I'm going to pull these strokes along, like this. This is a little bit different. This is an edge. Just pull little strokes along. We'll come here. I'm going to do the same, go backwards with my upstroke. See how close I am keeping into that edge right there. And I'm going to blend back into it. Just like this. Just come back into it. And then I'm going to come in here. I'm going to pull some long strokes right there. Just pull those up. just like that. And without dipping the brush again, I'm just going to kind of lightly brush up. Just to line that bottom area up, just lightly brush it up. Now once I get this all done, next thing I'm going to do, I got to put the palette down for a minute. Next thing I'm going to do, besides clean my fan brush out, is I'm going to use a dry brush. This is an 1.5-inch brush. Use a dry brush. And doing this, okay, lightly, we're going to fluff these clouds. Okay, so these clouds fluff this direction, so that's the way I'm going to go. We're just going to lightly fluff them. Just going to lightly fluff them. Just hold your brush. See what I'm doing with the brush. Come in these areas here, soften these up, I want them soft. Get all those areas there, and then any place where I use the fan brush, we're going to come right over the top of that, and we're going to fluff them up, just fluff them up. Just like that. And again, down in here, we're going to do the same. We're going to fluff that up, just fluff it up, using a dry brush. Just like that. Down in here, we want to come through here, lightly, just kind of fluff that. Up through here. Then using a dry brush, come back in here, where we use the fan brush again. You want to fluff those up. You can see this wonderful effect that we're getting with the clouds right here. Isn't that pretty? That is so nice. Come through here. What you're kind of doing is you're still keeping your light and dark colors in here from the blues and the whites, but you're fluffing it out so that you don't have these harsh lines that run through it. It looks more cloud-like, which that's what we're trying to accomplish. Let's make it look more cloud-like. I'm going to go through here. Remember, I lightened this area up down here. Fluff that up. Just like that. Come through here. Fluff that up. And I'll just come here on the bottom. I'll kind of brush it a little bit. And there you have your sky. That easy. I don't know how your sky looks. This is how my sky looks, and I like it. And I like the feeling of it. I like the feeling of these clouds kind of rolling in. It's going to be dark soon, and yes, I'm working up in the corner there. I do that all the time. Anyway, these clouds are rolling in. It's going to be dark soon, and it's going to give Whitby Abbey that feeling. A little spooky feeling. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, I'm putting the brush out over here, my 2-inch brush, I'm getting it clean. Oh, that looks pretty good. Let's put it over here. Alright. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to do a sketch. Now when I say sketch, we're actually going to sketch the Abbey. Don't be intimidated by that. Okay? One thing I want you to notice when we do this sketch, see this wall right here that runs right there. Okay? That wall is on an angle. It's not straight across. It comes down on an angle like this. So we have to keep that in mind when we do our sketch. So, you notice how I did the clouds at an angle. That's why I did that. So roughly, from this point to this point is about a quarter of the photograph, give or take, okay? From this point to this point is a third of the photograph. Well, how do we determine the quarter from the third? What we're going to do is we're we're going to take a small liner brush. See, now I get to break in the new brushes. Right here, there's a small liner brush. Okay, I'm going to take a small liner brush, and see, it's just a round brush, little pointed end on it, right, just like that. And I am going to grab, let me see what we have over here. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Alright, we're going to use our burnt sienna. And I'm going to get just a little bit of burnt sienna on the palette. See that oil coming out. This is a brand new tube of burnt sienna. So there's some oil involved here. That's natural. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and grab that oil and blend it in with what came out the end of the tube. There we go. Just blend that up. If you end up with, excess oil coming out, just blend it back to your color. Smooth all that out. You don't want any lumpy stuff there, because that first stuff that comes out of that tube, it's pretty lumpy. No sense in throwing away. A lot of artists, they basically waste the paint because of what comes out of the tube first. They'll just wipe off and they'll throw it away, and then they'll go with what comes next. I always say, what comes first is what can be the most useful. What comes second is okay, but what comes first is where you really find out what your colors are made of. Okay, so we're going to come up about a quarter of the canvas. So right about here. Is that about a quarter? There's half. Yeah, that's about a quarter. Put a little mark. Okay, then we're going to come up a third of the canvas. So right about, what do you say, right about there? That's about a third of the canvas. I don't know. Yeah, roughly, give or take, 1/3. Yeah, give or take, about 1/3 of the canvas. Okay, taking your burnt sienna and getting as little on your brush as possible because we're sketching, okay? What I want you to do is I want you to join both of those dots. Just come right across like that. And join both of the dots. Look at that, it's got paint on me. You almost think I'm an artist. You're going to have to take your time to get some of that off. So, that was easy, wasn't it? You just came across there, this point to this point. That easy. Nothing to do. Now, we've got to sketch this. Do you feel intimidated by this? Don't. This will be so easy, I promise you. This is going to be very easy to sketch. So let's start. Tell you what, we'll start on this side. Okay, notice this point right here. That's just a very tiny, tiny area. So just put a little mark right there. Okay? Then what I want you to do, this here is about 2/3 of the canvas, right? So I want you to come in just a little bit. We're going to look at this point right here. I want you to come in just a little bit, and I want you to put a dot. Just like that. Okay? Then you're going to put another dot, just a little bit higher, right about there. I want you to put a dot down here, and I want you to put a dot here, right about in this area right here, maybe a little bit lower than that dot, okay? And then come up here and put a dot right about there, okay? And you're going, well, what's that accomplished? Well, I will show you. We're sketching, okay? Remember, we were sketching. Okay, so you're going to come up like this. You're going to come in like this right here. Is that interesting? Then we're going to come down like so. Bring it down. See this point here? We'll come up. We come across like this and join it back in. Then you'll come up here. You'll come down. You'll come back up again. This one needs to be a little bit taller, so that's our sketching to get it where we need it. Bring that down like so. Then we'll come up with this. We're going to come down like this. And then we'll come straight down just a little ways. Wow, look at that. You have the first tower. That quick. See, there was nothing to be intimidated about at all, was there? See how easy that was? Now, we're going to come straight across. Notice this little lump that I put in right here. That's where I want to come out. This buttress, that's what that's called, is buttress. That buttress right there goes on a very slight upward angle. Just slight, very slight. So you don't want to go up high. This is about a third of the paper. See this point here? This is about a third of your canvas right there. So what we want to do is we want to come across on a very slight upward. Just like that. Then, again, this is about a third. We're about a third right here. Just bring a straight line up. Remember, we're sketching here. Straight line up. This is that top point right there. That top point is about a quarter of the canvas. So kind of eyeball this. Start turning in with the sketching where you're about a quarter of the canvas. Come across, stop right there. Now, you're going to do the point thing again, okay? We're going to go ahead and put a little point right there. We're going to come down a little bit. This point here is almost even with this. This point's almost even with this. So using that as your eyesight, come down here and put a little dot. Then you want to come up. The top right here is almost even with this. So just kind of go a little bit past that, come in a little bit and put a little dot, come back down again. This point here, this point right here, it's a little bit higher than this point. So come down and put a little mark, it's just slightly higher. This is taller than either one of these. That tower right there is taller than that tower. So put your point just a little bit higher. You want to put it up, oh, maybe right about in there roughly. Okay? Then come down. You come down this direction right here. And right about, oh, I don't know. See, here's your 2 points right here. So we're going to come down a little ways. Right about maybe the halfway point right here. Put a little point there. Alright? Now we're just going to sketch down. Okay, so we're going to come down, we're going to join the dots. Let's connect the dots here. Connect that dot. Connect that dot there. Come back up, connect that dot. Like that. And come back down to that dot. Like that, then bring your tower straight down. And when you get even here, I want you to stop. Stop right on there. Okay. You see this is starting to take shape now. You can see the shape of the abbey coming out of this. Alright. So, here's this point here. This is this point right here. That's where we're at, okay? We need to come down a little ways. So we're going to come down roughly about the same distance that it is from here to here to here. So eyeballing, you don't want to come all the way down. Eyeballing is just kind of bring your sketch down, and then when it feels right, stop. Right like that. Now, we're going to sketch these two tires right here. And this tire is slightly higher than this right here. So put yourself a little dot there to where you know where the top is. Just like that. And then you're going to come across, like so, and make your little rectangle. And then do it again, okay? Come up, if you think you need to come up a little bit, do it. I think I need to come up a little bit. Come across there. Come down, like so. Come across. Then just like that. I put that a little bit too high, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to extend this a little bit. It's no big thing. We'll come out here. And we'll bring that down. This is going to drop a little bit more. Like that. Then notice this angle here. Notice how this looks like it's rising right here. It's because of the perspective of it. So, we're going to come in a little ways off the side here, using my eyesight here. We're going to put a little dot, maybe right about, this is a little past, just a little less than halfway point, is what I'm looking at here. So we're going to put a little dot, a little less than halfway point, right about here. Little tiny dot. I don't know if you see that or not. Little dot right there. Okay. Then we're going to come up and across to that little dot. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to make our arches come down. I bet those windows are beautiful at one time, don't you? This point here, right here, that is even with that. That's this point over here, okay, right there. So that's where we're going to bring it down, like so. And we're going to make it disappear off the edge of the canvas. There is your basic outline for the Abbey. See, that wasn't as difficult to do as you thought it was going to be, was it? Nah, no way. That is what we're going to work off of. So now let's put a few minor details in there that are going to help us get through this. We'll start over here, okay? This area right here, I paint on me again. That down. How dare I get paint on me? What a terror. Let me grab here. Right that down. Okay. So our next step is to do a little bit of detailing to help us along. So I'm going to do this window right here. Just kind of sketch that in. Just look at it, eyeball it. None of this has to be perfect. Okay. We're not working for perfection here. We're working for the feel of what we're painting. If you don't paint it exactly like it is, I don't think anyone from Whitby England's going to come over and say, "Hey, bloke, you painted that wrong." I don't think they will do that. You know, I think they'll be happy that you thought enough of their Abbey to try to reproduce it. So I'm going to put a little triangle right here. This triangle right there. And then I'm going to come over. Come down, like so. I'm going to split it in the center, like that. Right about this area here. Go ahead and bring that up. I'm going to sketch this side down here. just like that, You know, the bases of the windows are on an angle. You can see that angle right there. Now, we might want to come just a little bit lower, but we'll determine that when we start filling it in. Okay? We're going to do one right next to it. That one right next to it is a little more complicated. So what we're going to do is we'll get our spacing first. Get our spacing, we'll come down, a little bit lower, come up right there, and then we're going to drop it down, like that, just like that. Then we'll take the center part, we're going to go ahead, we're going to put the center part here, like so. And that comes in like that, and we'll drop another line down, just like that. We're going to recreate that over here, okay? So we'll come down, like so. We'll come over here, come down, and then we'll come up like so. Yeah, see, I'm going to end up bringing this down a little bit more. All right. Now, we'll put these thin windows, okay? So we'll come here, we'll do each one separately. They're a little bit higher. We'll come in, we'll put the first thin window in. We'll put the second thin window in, which you notice is a little bit lower on the bottom than that one. So let's put the second thin window in. A little bit lower. And then we'll put the third thin window in. Which we'll put it in right here, and again, it too is a little bit lower. So we'll just drop that in, just like that. Okay. There that is. You can see this is starting to come together. We're starting to get filled with the Abbey. I might actually want to bring this here up a little bit, right in there. As I'm looking at this. Okay. Up here at the top, see that beautiful round window right there. You can see that nice round window. All I'm going to do for right now, and the angle is on kind of oval shaped. So all I'm going to do right now, we'll come up in here, I'm going to do an oval in that area. This is sketch it in there. And we'll come back to that window later. You have three windows that are right below that oval. We're going to do the center window first. And all I'm going to do is just sketch it up in there. Just like that. Just sketch it. And then there's one right next to it. You don't want to override that tower right here. We'll take care of that when we get to it. And then right now you can't really see the other one, so I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm going to put one more set of ones in, which are right here. I'm just going to do that. That's all I'm going to do. Okay, so now we have our basic sketch of our tower. Now what I want to do, so I want to put a second line here, right here, follow your first line, come all the way across, follow that first line across. Keep about a quarter inch in between first line and the second line. Just like that. Now we have basically the whole shape of the Abbey. I want to put the bottom of this wall in. I want to put sketch so I know where the bottom of that wall is at. So again, you come down just a little ways. Okay? And you're going to bring your brush straight across. So that you know where the bottom of the wall is. There's the bottom of the wall. Before we put in the tombstones now, we're going to do the Abbey. See how that sky enhances what's going on here with the Abbey? You got all that beautiful sky, and then you have your Abbey down below. So now we're going to create the Abbey. Clean this brush. And this is where it gets fun. This is where you're going to go, wow, check that out. I did that. Put that brush right there. All right. So this is what we're going to do. We have got to start building the bricks in here, the stones. I call them bricks, but the stonework that went into making this, we got to start building this. This is what's going to bring your sketch to life and bring it together. It is going to be quite interesting the way we build this. So we will be, during the process, we'll be using a small flat brush. But before we get to the small flat brush, what we have to do first is we've got to get some color in here. So I'm going to use a slightly larger flat brush, this one right here. And I'm going to come in here, I'm going to grab this burnt sienna. Notice I kind of lowered the brush up there, and I'm just going to kind of brush some of this in there. This will give us a base for creating your stonework in there. So I'm just going to brush this up. It's okay to pick up the blue in it, that's fine, because that's going to disappear, okay? So I'm just brushing. Notice I'm just going one direction. I'm not going back and forth with this. I'm going in one direction. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do layers. We're going to separate layers here. I'm getting ready to pick up the palette so I can show you what I'm talking about. There's layers in all of this, okay? There's different layers. They go different directions. We're going to separate those layers out as we do this. So we're going to come here, just brush that in. Once you get that brushed in like that, you want to do these next layers up here, these ones here. So all you're going to do is it's going to come straight down, go one direction, and create that layer. Just one direction. And again, you got the layers here that go across and they come down. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right here. We're going to create our layer here, like so, just like that. Then we're going to come across, up in here, like that. We're going to follow that angle. Again, follow that angle and create your layers. Just create the layers. When we start doing the stonework on this, you're going to see how that comes into play. So again, we need to create layers here. So come right about here. Just come down with a flat brush. Just like that. And work that flat brush down. Go one direction only. Don't go back. Don't do this. Okay? Don't do this. You're going to go one direction only as you create these layers. Come across here. Just like that. And create that layer. And create this next layer. Different direction, different texture. Same way with this one, you're going to do the same thing. Just like that. See that tower right there? See how that is? It's got layers coming across like this. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do those layers. Just come up and create the layers. all the way up there. Here, these are straight up and down. So go straight up and down, like so. Get it in there. I think you're going to hear my dogs bark in a minute. I don't know why they're getting antsy, but you'll probably hear them bark. Be expecting it, okay? When I'm just getting really excited right now. Yes, my dogs hang out with me while I'm creating art. They're art connoisseurs and they're critics. They're horrible critics. Oh, you ought to hear some of the things they say about the art sometimes. It's terrible. But I love them, so I let them say whatever they want to say, you know. But yeah, they're terrible critics. Okay, so you can come up in here, follow that angle, create your layers. Okay? So you can see this is starting to, you can see those layers in there. You can see the directions, the different directions they go. These are straight up and down. So we're just going to come in here, go straight up and down, just like that. Using up that raw sienna, straight up and down. Make that layer. Make that layer. Come up in here. These all go straight up and down along here. Every single one of them. Come down through there. Do the same over here. Make that layer, come down. Do the same at the top. Then when you get out here, come on an angle like this. That's the direction that the texture is moving on that. It's that direction. Come down. And you got all your layers right here. So, what about this down here? Well, actually, it's a different color contrast. So we're going to do something different down there. We're still going to do our stonework down here. The gravestones will go over the stonework after we get it into place. But, what we have to do is we're going to come in here and we are going to use, if I can find it over here, there it is. We're going to use the raw sienna. We're going to put it right above that burnt sienna. We're going to stick it right there. And we're going to do the same thing with the stone wall that we did up here. Here's the difference. I'm going to go ahead and still using that burnt sienna. I'm going to grab some of it, then I'll grab the raw sienna, like so. I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to run that edge right there, the edge of that wall. So grab some of the burnt sienna, grab some of the raw sienna, and run the edge of that wall, just like that. Do it again, run the edge of the wall. Now come back and smooth that out. We want that smooth for what we're going to do. Okay, now we're going to do the bottom part of this wall right here. So what we'll do is, without cleaning out the brush, you're just going to grab the raw sienna. That's all you're going to do. Come in here and you're going to brush this. Brush it all one direction only. Again, don't use the burnt sienna now, you just want the raw sienna for this, okay? Come in and brush that one direction only. Just like that. Get that in there. Then come back, bring your brush all the way down now. Let's pull it all the way down, pull it through there. Don't worry about the blue that's showing through, that's going to disappear. Right, all the way down there. If you have to load some more paint onto the brush, do it. fill that gap in there. There you go. There's the bottom portion of the wall. It's that easy. You can see the color difference between here and here, also the color difference between here and here. Now, let's start putting in the stonework. Sound like fun? It does to me too. Clean out my brush. Come over here and grab that small flat one I showed you a while ago. Okay? Get your small flat brush. What I want you to do, I want you to get some more of the burnt sienna. And if you need to get a little more raw sienna, definitely do it. Some more raw sienna on there. Put some raw sienna on there. All right. Now, keeping in mind that this is stonework, remember we went certain directions with this, right? We went certain ways with this. We're going to do the same thing again. So, grab a little bit of the burnt sienna. Grab just a little bit of the burnt sienna. Grab a little bit of the raw sienna. Kind of mix them together a little bit. And test an area right here, okay? If it looks too light, grab a little more burnt sienna, which looks a little too light to me. So we'll put a little burnt sienna in there. Basically what you're going to do is you're just going to come in here and you're just going to lightly touch the canvas to create your stoneworks, okay? And you'll come across using a little raw sienna and a little burnt sienna. And again, if it looks too light to you, grab some more burnt sienna, but you want to use a combination of both. Just come across there with your small brush. Create this nice little visual effect of these stones in there. Can you see that? Can you see how that's creating this little visual effect of stones? Now that's your base stones, that's your bottom stones, okay? Your upper stones are going to be less, so you're going to use the side of the flat brush when you do the upper stones. So you're just going to come in here, offset them. And do your upper stones. These do not have to be defined. You're not looking for definition here. You're at a distance, okay? What you're looking for is you're looking for the feel of the stonework. You want to feel that stonework, okay? This is not a high definition thing that you're doing here. You want the feel of the stonework as you come in here, as you do this. This is a place where your paint does not have to be smooth like it did with the sky. As a matter of fact, it's preferable if it's not smooth, because you're creating stone, so you want some roughness there. You want to be able to see that raised area. It adds to the drama that you're looking for in your painting. Notice you can see that stonework starting to take place there as we come across. We're creating that drama in the painting. Just bring it up in there. Keep your blends going. Just lightly touching the canvas. Just lightly touching. Just like that. Give it that feel. This is a crumbling 6th century abbey, and it's your job to preserve it in paint for all time, so that hundreds of years from now people can look back at your painting and go, So that's what Whitby Abbey looked like. So you notice how we got this rough kind of stonework thing going on here. You can see it happening as we're doing that. You're just going to come in here and just keep working that stone up. We're going up to a level right about in here. So you just got to keep working it. You know, it's interesting when I was in second grade, we used to have this thing called a book fair. I haven't had children in school for years. My children had book fairs. And I remember I filled out my form for the books I wanted. And the teacher took a look at what I filled out, and she informed me that the books that I had picked out were too advanced for me. She said that they were beyond my age group and out of my reading skills. So she proceeded to pick out some books for me. And marked them off. She took away my choices and she put in what she felt was what I should be reading. Second grade. So I went home upset. I was very upset. And because I had really wanted the books that I had chosen. And the teacher told me that I was not smart enough to get those books, basically. Now, I'm in the second grade, so I didn't look at it like the teacher told me I wasn't smart enough to get the books. But for me, that's basically, in my mind, that's what she was saying. So I went home upset. My mom, of course, she asked me why I'm upset, and I said, well, I picked out some books, and the teacher said that I couldn't read those books because they were beyond my age and my comprehension. I don't think I said comprehension. I think I said understanding, if I remember right. That's what the teacher said to me. And my mom took a look at what the teacher had chosen for me. And she asked me the books I had chosen originally, and I told her. And she said, let's go to school. Let's see if the teacher's still there. So we went to school, and sure enough, the teacher was still in the classroom. And my mom went in there, and she says, I need a fresh book fair for my son. And the teacher said, is there a problem? My mom said, well, yeah, there is a problem, actually. She said, you picked out books for him instead of letting him pick out his own books. She says, well, they were beyond his age group. And my mom said, really? So you don't think he would understand them? And the teacher says, no, of course not. My mom said, well, that's awful funny. She said, he just recently completed reading Wind in the Willows. He has read the whole Borrower series. He is starting reading The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. And I don't really think that you deciding that Winnie the Pooh and a couple of Dr. Seuss books are his understanding. And he will be reading the ones that he originally picked out. Those are the ones we're going to order. Now give me a form. We will order them. Teacher stood there kind of dumbfounded, looking at my mother for a second. My mother said, I'm not going to tell you again. Give me a form so I can fill out his books. And my mother filled out for me the books that I had originally picked out, which were The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells, the Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and Bram Stoker's Dracula. And those books gave me a love of horror and thrillers I've carried with me for the rest of my life. So I'm really enjoying doing this painting right now. So now you got your bottom brick layers in there, your main base of your brick layers. You can see that nice little texture going on there. Now we need to work these areas here. So what we're going to do there is, again, using the burnt sienna and the raw sienna, we're going to take and run a line right across we're going to split this in two right here, okay? Maybe a little bit more than half, and I'm going to just run a light line right across there like this. Just run it across there to where I can see it. Then I'm going to come in there, and I'm going to form each arch that you see here. So all I'm going to do that, I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to come off the side, and I'm going to dab at the side like so, because we want this to look rough, right? Then I'm going to, there's a little tiny arch, like a window or something right there. So I want to know where that is, so I'm just going to kind of dab that right there, like so. And I'm going to do it again, except I'm going to make the bigger arch now. So I'm going to dab up and make that bigger arch right there. Now, using the raw sienna and the burnt sienna, I'm going to create my stonework in this area. You have a pillar that's right there, so I need to put my pillar in. So I'm going to grab more raw sienna than burnt sienna to put the pillar in, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to create a pillar by just brushing this in just like that, and there's that pillar right there. Then I'm going to come across, I do my next arch, burnt sienna, come in here and do my next arch, just like so. And then I'm going to put in the next pillar. So I'll put in the next pillar, I'll just come across like this, put in that pillar, and I'll dab this out up here, like that. You see how this is starting to take shape, how we're getting that in there. We got another arch right here, so I'll put that arch in. We'll just kind of brush it up in there like that. Get it in there. Dab all that up in there like so. Then we'll put in the pillar. Come up with the pillar. And we got another arch. Actually, I made this section too long here. So what we need to do, we need to go in and correct that. It's easy to correct. This is the nice thing about oils. Look at that. If you make a mistake when you're working with oils, you can easily go back in and correct it just by smoothing out what you just did. It's like erasing. So I'm just going to smooth that out since I made that mistake. I'm going to come back up in here. Remember, we needed to brush these lengthwise, so I'm going to brush them up lengthwise. Just like that, for that texture. And now I'm going to come back in, and I'm going to redo this again so that I have the right pillars in the right location. So I'll grab the burnt sienna, and I want to put my little tiny one right in here like so. I want to put him there. Then I'm going to come here, I'm going to put the next one next to it, and I'm going to come up and make the arch like so, right there. I'll go ahead and put my arches in here before I do anything else. I got another arch right here. I'm going to put that in right there. And I don't know if you can see those. If you're doing this, you can see the arches on your own canvas if you're doing this. Come up here, I'm going to put another arch right here. I'm going to try to correct my mistake by making it a little bit further over, a little bit wider. I'm going to go ahead and put another arch. Got this arch right here like this. I'm going to make that. I'm going to bring that down like that, and then there's a pillar that runs here that's partially blocking that arch, so we'll get that pillar in right there. Come across over here, make these arches slightly wider, make that one wider, and we'll make this one wider. There we go, like that, to correct my mistake. People make mistakes, they're easily fixed. So then I'm going to run my pillars in here again. Right there. Run a pillar right there. Run a pillar here. So, then I'm going to run one right there. Alright, so once we have that done, I'm going to do this top section here. I want more burnt sienna than I want raw sienna in there. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to dab. I'm going to put my stone in like so, and there is a pillar there, so I'm going to leave a gap for the pillar, and I'm going to put my stone in over here like so, just like that. Now I'll grab the raw sienna, put my pillar in, it's right there, like that. Then I'm going to come up in here, I'm going to do this area here. What I'll do is I'll bring my pillars up into those areas where they come into that section up there, like so. Right here. Got one right there. Then I'm going to come in here, darken this area up in between the pillars, just by dabbing in there. Creates that stone effect. And now we have this section right here at the base of that section taken care of. All of this right here. Now we're going to do the tower real quick. See, I told you this would go fairly fast. So I'm just going to brush in the tower sections like so. You're saying, but Gypsy, how do we get the definition? Well, the definition comes by working this out with your darker colors against your lighter colors. So right there, you can see that section right there that I just did. Then we're going to come up here and brush that down like so. And do the same over here. Then we'll bring that down like that. Alright, so now we have the whole base of this whole section right here. We're going to go through and we're going to repeat the same process here. So I'm going to come in with my burnt sienna, with my raw sienna. I'm going to create this section right here just by coming in and brushing it up. Now, this is a different color than over here, so we definitely want to capture that. So I'm just going to brush this up. That's all I'm going to do. Do it again. Making sure to pay attention to the color variations. You see there's 3 arches right here. We're not going to worry about those arches yet. We will get to those. What I want to do here is I want to get the stonework effect into the painting. So we're just gonna work it to get that stonework. You see how all this is raised right here? See how that paint's raised? That's what gives you your stonework effect. This is the case where it's okay for the paint to raise off the canvas. Knew a guy one time that was legally blind, and he told me that he absolutely loved it when paint was raised off the canvas because it helped him to see the painting. I thought that was a very unique way to look at things. He looked at the painting by filling the canvas. Van Gogh used a lot of paint when he painted. I wonder what my friend would have said about Van Gogh's work if he could touch it. You know, you cannot touch Van Gogh's work. You do realize that, right? You're not allowed. If you're in an art museum where Van Gogh's work is displayed, and they see you reach out and try and touch it, they will politely ask you to leave the premises. You are not allowed to touch his work at all. No artist hanging in a museum are you allowed to touch her work. And I will tell you something right now, just a little clue here. Any art, whether it's a famous artist or something that someone else has created, don't reach out and touch it, please. Really, worst thing you can do, just don't. So much don't do it. Because when the oil on your fingers, when you touch a canvas, that oil goes over to the canvas and it collects and it can start deteriorating the paint and the canvas both. I know what you're going to say, but it's oil paint. Yes, it is oil paint, but it's not human oil paint, unless you're not telling me something, and then in that case that's just creepy. Okay, coming up here, we're almost at the point where we're going to smooth that out.
People always touch mine to see if they're real. I hate that.
My wife does these beautiful photorealistic portraits, and she just said people always touch hers to see if they're real. And they're real. They're not a copy of anything. You know, that's a big pet peeve for me and my wife, is when people use projectors or they use digital means to create a painting. And when I say digital means, there's a difference between digital art and taking something and removing all the color and all the line from it and then painting over it. That's paint by number, that's not art. That's all that is, that's paint by number. There's one guy that we know that one day he could not draw a circle, and the next day he's creating really nice pieces of art. And the minute I seen them, I said projector. Come to find out, he's not only using projector, he's taken scenes like, say, maybe a street cafe scene, and this is one I saw him do. He's taking a street cafe scene, and he's going in and removing all the color from it to where he's got a program to where it'll just leave the line drawing. Then he's going back in and he's using a computer to replace the color. So it looks like a photograph. I mean, not like a photograph, like a painting. It was originally a photograph that he digitally enhanced so that he could make it look like a painting, and all these people that are oblivious to that fact, they rant and rave over his work. But we have his number. We know what he's doing, and you know, basically it's cheating. When you create a piece of art, create a piece of art. Notice what I'm doing here now. I'm kind of brushing this in and up, like that. I'm coming up into here like so. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Do exactly the same on the other side. Come up. Oh, I got way too much there. Oh, the raw sienna, I need to come back in here. There we go. Brush this up on this side. We'll just come up into there like that. get this in here. Get this in here. And we'll come in here and we'll get these areas here. Now there's arched windows in here, but we're going to get back to those here in just a minute. I want to get all of our stonework in first, and we'll get back to those windows. We'll come up in here. Curve that over. So you see these little points of color here that create that stonework effect. All those little points of color, this is all raised color through there. Is all that is. You come in here, and I'm going to touch this. My wife just pointed out that one of our dogs is in a dead cockroach position with her belly exposed. She's fine. Her name's Hannah Mae Wigglebutt. And she's of the bug tussle wigglebutts, and if you don't like it, you can kiss her wigglebutt. And she loves having that belly rub. That's her favorite thing in the world. Well, that and eating, but she's a little chunky girl. We have to kind of keep close tabs on what she eats. Anyway, so now we have this center section done with our stonework. You see all our stonework in there. Now we're going to do this last section right here with the stonework. Oh look, I got some paint over here on the picture we're working on. See, it's on my hand. Tell you what, art is messy. I love it. You know, they used to yell at me when I was a kid about getting dirty and getting dirt on my hands. And I wonder if my mother and grandmother were alive today, what they would say about me making a living getting my hands dirty. It'd be an interesting conversation, wouldn't it? Now, Jimmy, you gotta stay clean. Just because you're painting doesn't mean you have to get paint all over your hands and clothes. Well, you know what? Art is messy, and if you're not getting paint all over your hands and clothes, you're doing something wrong. Okay, I'm going in and I'm finishing off the stonework. Again, we're just using the raw sienna and the burnt sienna to create the stonework, and we're dabbing in there. And all these shades and shadows are going to make total sense to you here in just a couple of minutes, because we're going to get really detail oriented on this. And you're going to go, that's cool. I'm going to go, yeah, told you so. So, we're just dabbing this in. Dab, dab, dab. Painting isn't a matter of brush strokes per se. A lot of it is doing exactly what we're doing right now. You're just kind of dabbing things in. You're creating shades and shadows using your brush. Just kind of dabbing everything in there. Shades, shadows, and texture. That's what oil painting is all about. Shades, shadows, and texture. Notice I didn't say light. Well, the reason why I didn't say light was because light comes with the shades and shadows. So it creates itself. Light will always find itself, always. Get that up in there. Come down here. Slowly but surely, Starting to bring the Abbey to life. Now, before I do anything else, I want to finish this here. I'm not doing anything else up here yet until we do this down here. So what I'm going to do, so I'm gonna grab some of the burnt sienna and some of the raw sienna. You need to hold this over here where you can see it. Always lean that way. And I'm going to lightly stroke in this area here. Again, using the raw sienna and the burnt sienna, I'm going to lightly stroke. I want varying shades of color through here. Just lightly stroke. Just like that. Turning my brush to pick up these different shades that are in my brush. And just lightly stroke. Very lightly. Lightly stroke. Pull that across. So lightly stroke this. Lightly stroke it. Okay, once I get that into play, then what I'm going to do is I'm just using the raw sienna only, without cleaning out my brush. Come in here, and I'm going to stroke, filling up all that area. Not cleaning out my brush, just filling this area. Just like that. And what's going to be fun is what we're going to do with this bottom wall here in just a second. Nice little effect that I'm going to show you. But we got to get this in first before we can do that. And just keep little brush strokes. I don't want you to put long brush strokes in here. I want little tiny brush strokes. Just like that. Just put little brush strokes into it. Just like that. Just little tiny brush strokes. Keep working across. Little tiny brush strokes. Little tiny brush strokes in there. Remember, this retaining wall is closer to you than the Abbey is. Put those little strokes in there. Little tiny brush strokes. Okay. Once you get those strokes in there, next step is we need to put some shadow underneath this ledge right here, this ledge. So, using the burnt sienna only. Go in and lightly touch that right underneath that lip edge. Get that little bit of shadow in there. You just want a little tiny touch of shadow in there, just like that. Get that little bit of shadow right underneath that lip edge. Lightly touch it. Just like that. A little bit of shadow on your lip. There you go. Now, you can see some separation in the rock in there. Just like we did up here. What I want you to do though, is I want you to just go in there and lightly touch here and there with your burnt sienna to create that effect of the rock, because a lot of this will end up covered once we put the tombstones in there. So you're not wanting to really get a whole lot of detail oriented with it. You just want the effect that this is stonework. Stonework wall. Wall around a cemetery. You know why they put walls around a cemetery, right? Because people are dying to get in. I know, bad dad joke. But we will get, you see how that's just putting a hint, just putting a hint of the stone in there, is all it's doing. We're just suggesting that there's stone in there. We don't have to do anything else but suggest it. Let the mind and the eye play whatever game it wants to play to make you believe that there is stone in this rock wall. Carry it off to the end of the canvas. And there you have it. So it has the suggestion of the stone in the rock wall. We have the suggestion of the stone in the abbey itself. Now, our next step is to start adding the darker details into here that's going to bring out like the arched doorways, the shade, the shadow, all that good stuff around here. Once the abbey is done, which that's the next step that we're doing, we're going to complete this abbey out. Once the abbey's done, then we can put our tombstones in. We can get our tombstones put in here, get the grass in, and you got a beautiful painting of Whitby Abbey. That will be our next steps that we do. So what we're going to have to do next is we're going to have to get our black. That's our next color that we're using. We're using black. So we can start putting in these shadows here. We're also going to use a little bit of gray on top of that. And I don't know yet whether we'll use a warm gray or the lighter grade. I'll decide that after we do the black. As I'm working the black, I'll make that decision and I'll let you know. But have them ready, okay? So, our next step is the black. So we're going to get the black. Put a little bit of black here on our palette. So we're going to get the black, and well, if I can get the lid back on there. Put a little bit of black here on, alright, our palette. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that small flat brush, and
If I can get the lid back on there.
And you can see these dark areas here.
All right.
Throughout the structure.
So what I'm going to
There's
do,
some dark areas here.
so I'm going to take that
What I'm going to do is I'm going to
small
go put those
brush.
dark areas in. I'm just going to lightly touch in those areas.
So I'll grab a little bit
And
of
you
my
can
black.
see these
I'll
dark
smooth it out
areas
here.
here. Throughout the structure.
And
there's some
we'll
dark
start down
areas
here
here
at
at
the
the
bottom.
bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go right
dark
in
areas
here.
in.
I'm just going to lightly touch
here.
in those areas.
So I'll grab a little bit of my black. I'll smooth it
It
out.
looks
here.
like we have a dark area right through here. And we'll start down here at the bottom.
See, it's not much.
I'm going to go right
You
in
don't have to
here,
do much right in
here,
there. Just
and
put that
here.
little, put that little dark area in
So
there.
it looks like we have
Lightly brush it in.
a dark area right through here, just like that. That's all there is to
Right
that.
in there. See, it's not much.
Just lightly brush that in there.
You don't have to do much
right in there.
Sitting here
Just put
trying to
that
get
little-
paint on me.
Put the little dark area in there. While I'm doing this, I'm terrible
Kinda
about that.
lightly brush it in.
Just like that.
Then we're gonna
That's
go
all there is to that. Over a
just
little
lightly
bit.
brush
that in there.
Right
About,
about,
I don't
trying to
know,
get paint
looks
on
like
me.
about in here while I'm doing this.
Looks like there's a little dark
I'm
area
terrible
right
about
there,
that.
like that.
Maybe a small window of some sort.
Then we're gonna go.
Then there's another larger dark
Over a
area
little
right
bit.
here.
Just bring
Right
that
about, I
down.
don't know, looks like about in here.
Just like that.
And so you're picking up some of
Some
the
of
other
the dark
paint
area right
as you're doing
there,
that,
like
which
that.
is fine.
Maybe a
Because that's what adds
small
your
window
detail
of some
and your
sort.
dimensions. There's a
there's
very
another
larger
light
dark area right
here.
here. I'm just
bring
gonna
that down.
I'm gonna touch it because we're gonna do something
Just
like
like
that
that.
here.
in a
And so
little
you're
bit.
picking up
Just
some of the
gonna
other paint
put 'em
as
right
you're doing
there.
that, which is fine. Because
Then
that's
we'll
what
come in
adds your
here, there's
detail
dark
and your
area right in
dimensions.
here, and we'll just
There's
go
a
ahead
very
and throw
light
that in
dark
there.
area right here. I'm just gonna. These could
We'll
be
touch it, 'cause we're
ventilation
gonna do something with
windows,
that here in a little bit.
I'm just gonna
put
any
a-
number of things. You
put
know,
a
they
line right
still
there.
had to cool these structures off. Then we'll come in here.
Imagine
and
they
they
were
were pretty
pretty
hard
right
to
in here, and we'll
heat
just
in the
go ahead
wintertime.
and throw
They
that
probably
in
had
there.
a lot of fireplaces in here, I imagine. These could be
Okay.
ventilation windows.
So now we have
three areas right
any
here.
number of things.
You know, they still had to cool these structures.
I'm gonna go
off.
center.
I'm going to use this
Imagine they
window
were
as
pretty
my
hard to
marker. Heat in the
We'll go
wintertime.
center
Right here,
here.
had a lot of fireplaces in here. I
And we're gonna
imagine. Okay.
We put that dark area in.
So now
right
we have
there.
three areas right here, 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to go on either side. I'm going to go center. I'm going to use this window
they're a
as
little
my
bit
marker.
shorter than that center
Center
one
center
right
right
there.
here, a little bit shorter.
And
So
we're
we're
gonna
going to put one right about.
We'll put that dark area in right there.
Let's say we put it right about here. And then we're going to go on either side.
Bring it down.
They're a little bit shorter than that
evenly.
center one right there.
Just a little bit
a
taller.
little bit shorter. So we'll put
We'll
one
put the other
right
one evenly right
about,
about
here. Well, let's say we put it right about
Bring that down.
here. I need to pick up a little more black here. Bring it down, and then we'll put the other one
Bring that down
evenly
into there like that.
just a little bit taller. All right.
We'll put the
Now,
other one evenly.
there's really
right
none of
about
these dark areas
here.
over in here, so I'm not going to worry about this area right
Bring that
now.
down.
We'll
I
come
need to
back
pick
to
up
that.
a
A little more black here. Now we need to get these areas here. There's a small one right there.
Bring that down into there like that.
It's
Right
right about here. Now, there's really none of these dark areas over in here, so I'm not going to worry about this area right now. We'll come back
Right
to
there.
there. Now we need to get
Then
these
we have
areas here. There's
a
a
larger
small one
one
right
here.
there. Just this area right here. It's right about here. Curve that off a little bit. Just like that, right there. Then I'm going to come in a larger one here. Curve it just this area right here. Edge on there. Just kind of curve that off a little bit. Then we got a dark area that's right in this area, right about in
Just like that.
here.
Right
Then I'm
about
going to come
there.
in, curve it back, leave an edge on there, and out on this outer edge right here. Then we got a dark area that's right in this area, right about in here. You can see this is starting to take shape. You're starting to see
Right
where
about
different areas of the structure are at. We got a kind of triangular shaped dark area right in here. And out on this outer edge right here, we're just kind of triangle
down
shape
like
there.
that.
You can see this is starting to take shape.
And we
We're
got-
starting to see where different
Looks
areas
like
of the
a,
structure are at. We got a kind of triangular shaped dark area
Just a
right
curve.
in here. Right there, like that.
Put on a
Okay, up
triangle
in
shape
here,
there.
1, 2, 3, 4. You can see 4 dark areas. Then we
in there.
got, so we're going
Looks
to go
like
in
a,
there, do the 4 dark areas. So
Just a curve.
it goes right there like that.
Looks like, okay, up in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can see 4 dark areas in there. And so we're going to go in there, do the 4 dark areas. So looks like about, oh, I don't know, about here 3. And then number 4 is over here. Remember, I went a little bit too long here, but that's okay. Because we can compensate for all of that. Right here there's a dark area. Here and here there's a dark area. Okay, we'll go right in here, like that. There's a little dark area right here. And it looks like the dark area right in there, like so. Alright, we're going to move over to our center structure here. There's 3, 1, 2, 3. They coincide with what's right below them, so we're going to coincide with that. And we're going to go here. So it comes down to about right in there. If you hear that ding going on in the background there, that's my messenger app. People are talking about one of the tutorials, asking questions, and people in the group are answering questions, which is really nice. I'm glad that people are helping each other. That's what it's all about. Help each other, you know? Help each other out. So now we have those areas there. Those 3 dark areas there. Now I'm going to come up in here, in this area here, and there's a dark area right there, a little bit of dark here. And then I think we're all done with this darker black that we're going to be using. So we're just going to come right on this edge right here, like so. We have this dark area that's right in here like this. And there's a slight edge right here. Alright. Now, without dipping your brush again, and without cleaning it out, right here, I want you just to kind of sketch your brush along this area here, darken this area up. See where we have that blue still showing through? This is going to join the wall with the structure, with the abbey. Just kind of brush it along there. Get rid of the blue. It also has a little shadow in there. See, by not cleaning the brush, just by using what's on the brush, we end up with a nice color blend through there. That's joining those 2 sections together. Now those 2 sections are joined together. Now, there's areas here, 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 and here. Oh, I just noticed 2 more dark areas I didn't notice before. There's one right here, and there's one right there. Let's go ahead and get those real quick before we get out of here. Okay. So we're going to go right. You know what, I think I want to make these taller. I think I want to come up with these a little bit. No, I'm looking at it. Let's come up with those a little bit. Oil paint, you can go back in and you can make corrections. It's really nice. If you need lead dry, you can go back in and redo it later on. Don't think that when you do a painting that it's set in stone. You can always go back in and make changes on a painting, and if you're not happy with what you've done, Don't get frustrated. Frustrating don't help anything. Step away from the painting, go back to it later, and rework it. It's pretty simple, nothing to it. Alright, so we have gone and put these dark areas in. There's one right here. Just come down a little bit with that. One right there. See them? As I'm looking at it, I'm catching these areas I didn't see before, which is good. Let's go ahead and put this one in right here. Like so. And we'll go ahead and line this. It's a little darker in there. Okay. Now, like I was saying, you can always go back in and you can change things. If you don't like what you've done, let it dry, go back and redo it. You know? That's really all there is to it. Clean out my brush here. Don't want my dirty brush hanging around. Alright. I'm going to now put some dark brown in here. Let me find it here. I know it's hiding up there somewhere. I saw it. Where's it at? Well, you know what? That's funny. I did not bring any dark brown down. Shame on me. So what we're going to do, we are going to use our burnt sienna, and we're going to make a dark brown. And we are going to make it using that black that you see right there. Right there next to the raw sienna I just put down. Burnt sienna I just put down, not raw sienna, burnt sienna. Okay, so what we have to do is there's dark areas of brown in here, right? So we're going to take a little black when we get under here where you can see. We're going to grab a little brown. We're going to mix those together. You get a little more of this burnt sienna in here. I want this dark, but I don't want it black. That's looking pretty good. You can see it there. It's kind of a really, here on my line right there. It's kind of a really blackish brown. Maybe add a little bit more. Mix it up. Let's test it here. Yeah, it's getting there. Not 100% satisfied yet. I'm a little picky. Let's check that one. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Alright. Let's start working these areas. So, what we're going to do, we're going to start adding some darker shadows in here. So right here, right in this area right here, there's some darker shadows right in there. We're going to brush across. These are light touches that you're doing, okay? You're just going in, you're doing really light touches with the brush. You do not press this brush down when you're doing this. It's the worst thing you could possibly do. And the reason why I say that is because you would ruin what you've already done, what you've already accomplished. So you're just doing these really light touches in here to add these darker areas of brown. Just light touches. Just kind of pull them through there, just like that. And start, look at your example. Start adding that shadow in there, that shade. That's what's going to bring the Abbey out. That's what's going to make it stand out and be very, that's what I'm looking for. Not animated, because an abbey can't be animated, but it's going to bring life to it. Instead of just being this plain, flat paint on your canvas, you're actually going to wake it up and give it life all its own. As if you were actually there. Just look at your example photograph. And any place where you think you see a dark shadow, add that dark shadow in to build that up. It's just like that. You're just going in here and you're lightly touching your canvas and you bring that dark shadow up. This darker brown is picking up the raw sienna and burnt sienna that we did earlier to give it a nice look here. Aged, old look. Okay, so now I'm kind of happy with this down here. I don't want to mess with that anymore. We're going to mess up here now. Okay, and I'm seeing dark areas right along here. So we're going to get those. And again, you're just touching this lightly. That's all you want to do. You just want to touch it lightly. Just pick up your dark shadows. Pick up your edges. Remember, this abbey is at a distance from your viewing, so it's not going to be well defined. I love a lot of detail, but there's times when you have to forego when you have to forego a massive amount of detail because it's too far away. You wouldn't see that at a distance. It'd be fuzzier. Not saying that you got bad eyesight or anything, but to your eyes it would be fuzzier because it's at a distance, and that's what this is. This is at a distance. Go right in here, like so. So again, we're just picking up these dark areas. We're adding this burnt sienna and black mixture. And you see how far that's going. See how much I still have left? It goes quite a distance. If your brush becomes overloaded, which mine's becoming overloaded right now, just wipe it off to the side. You can always use a napkin too, you know. I just always swirl it. See, I just swirl it off to the side here. Just get rid of the excess paint. The reason why I don't use a napkin is because I might be able to come back and use that paint later if I run out here. So that's why I do that. And then put some dark areas down in here, like so. Just like that. Need to run a line right here. Not going to do my brush again or cleaning it, I'm just lightly running a line right in there. Now I'll grab a little bit of the dark, and right in this area right here, I'm going to darken it up slightly. Just like that. There's some dark down in here. Down here, so we'll grab that. You see how that's all starting to work itself out. We'll add our darkness up in here. Dark areas in there, and there. And the abbey is slowly and surely coming together. Okay, right up in here, we need to go. I see some dark area here that we need to address. There we go. We need to add some darkness right up in here. Little shadow and shade up in there. Like so. Just like that. Then we need to come down this side here. Our light source is coming from this direction. So most everything that's in shadow is over on the left side. The right side is lighter in color. So we'll just, I'm just bring that down there like that. Just like that. And we're going to come up here. And some of the darkness here. How's yours looking? Is it starting to come together? Come down like this here. We've talked about structures before. Never be intimidated by a structure. It's just another element in a painting. That's all it is. No reason to let them scare you. You just look at it as another element in your painting. That's all it is. Like I said, you're lightly touching everything, okay? Just lightly touching. So now we've got all my dark areas I'm happy with done over here. We're going to move over here to the big tower, and starting at the bottom, I'm going to pick up my dark areas down here. I'm going to see where they're at. I'm going to come in and grab them. Pay close attention to the separation in the buildings. Each section of the building is a separation. That's the way they build them. They build one section and then they come in and they add to it later. They may not have done that next section until years later. They may have just done one part of it and then come back in years later and done the next part. A lot of times these old structures like this monastery, they were not built in one go. You know, like we do modern buildings. We go in there and we do the whole structure and get it done, and pretty soon people are renting offices in it, or people are holding church services, or governments are holding meetings. I mean, you know, nowadays we throw stuff up so quickly that before you know that it's serving whatever purpose it was meant to serve. Back then they didn't have the luxury of the same type of tools we have nowadays to put a building together. They had the labor. A lot of it sometimes was forced labor. That is to say, maybe someone was in debt to a landowner and had to do a servitude. And so he would work on the building. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't skilled labor. There was. There was definitely skilled labor. Otherwise, they would have never been able to do anything. But a lot of times the unskilled labor were people that owed somebody some money or owed someone a favor, and they had to repay that favor, so they were put into service to work on these structures. Unfortunately, a lot of times who these people owed was the church. So the church would put them into service. You know, hey, we helped you with this, now you're going to help us with this. And it wasn't, they weren't asking. They were telling them, this is what you're going to do. And they did it. That's just the way things were back then. So yeah, a lot of times, like I said, these structures were built in separate sections. They were never ever built all at the same time. So as you're getting your dark areas in there, start paying attention to, there's some really light areas that we're going to be addressing here in a minute. Start kind of watching with your eye where those really light areas are at. As you look over at your example photograph, pay attention to where the light areas are, because we're going to, here just shortly, we are going to do those. Once we do the light areas on this structure, on this abbey, we're going to move on to the cemetery. And I know you've been waiting for that part of it. So, we got a little round window up here. The angle on it is kind of odd, so we're going to stay odd with it. I'm going to just kind of lightly touch an oblong circle right here. And then I'm going to radiate out from that. And there's that round window completed. It was that quick, that easy. Look at that. And again, just remember, this is at a distance. Your detail is not going to be great here, okay? You don't want your detail great. You're at a distance. Your detail is actually going to come, your detail is actually going to come when you do the cemetery, because those stones are closer to you. And you're going to bring out that detail. This looks like it was probably a chimney. Anyway, you'll bring out that detail when you do the cemetery stones. Just kind of start on one side of it and just kind of brush back in like that. And you have your chimney done. Do the same thing over here. You're going to come down, just lightly brush it. This could have been another chimney that collapsed. Got your dark areas in there, just lightly touching that. Then down through here, gets a little darker. So we'll just come here. Looks like this is a separate section. Just gonna lightly touch some shadow down through there, like that. Lightly touch it. Then we do the same over here. Lightly touch it. Just a straight line coming down. Again, separating one section from another section. I'm going to add a little shadow over here. Just a little bit, just a touch. Bring it back this way. There we go. Then we're going to take some dark areas right through here, just some lines that go across. We got some darkness right through here. I'm going to bring that down. Alright, now we're going to get over into here. We're going to finish detailing this out using the same combination that we've been using to add the shadow on the other side. So, oh, I noticed something right there. Okay, so coming across here, smooth that top edge out using your burnt sienna and black mixture. Come across and just smooth that out. When it gets out here to the end, you notice it's a little rougher. Kind of follow your contours there. Stay on that. Stay on that. Just like that. There we go. All right. don't want that black-brown mixture too pronounced on that top edge there. But you do want to be able to smooth that top edge out. And you're going to come down the side there and get that. Now, we're going to finish out these windows. Starting on this end right here, we're going to come down with our dark mixture of the burnt sienna and black. Finish out that edge. Round off this top. Picking up some of the color that's already there, just round it off. Come back down the other side. Just kind of brush it down. Just like that. Don't forget to finish out the bottom of the window. And that one's done. See how easy that was? That was quick and easy. Nothing to it. Quick, easy, and easy. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing here, no different. Take our dark mixture, come down here. Bottom of that one was kind of ragged, so we're going to go ahead and make it ragged. And come off with this side here. Bring that edge down, and that window's done. Goes along fairly quick there. Do this window again. Come down here. Your dark mixture. Just like that. Pick up this color here. Come down the side. Like that. Come across. And another window's finished. And we're going to do it again. We're going to do it up here. So these are fancier windows. So we got to get fancy about it. So you see how I'm just taking that dark color and I'm creating the frame on the window using that dark color. Come down here through our center. I have not redipped the brush. You're just using the color that's on the brush right now. We'll come down here. Do the same on this side. Just come down, not dipping my brush, just using the color that's on it. We'll pick up the color that I did up here around the top. We'll drag it down. Drag it down over here. Then I'm going to come down on the side, right here. Again, I have not redipped my brush. I'm using the colors that are there. I'm picking up the colors that are already on the canvas. And I'm going to come across right across the bottom, like so. And in that window is a finished window. Just by doing that. We're going to do it again on this one. Again, a little fancier window. We're going to come through here. Oh, pick up the little paint there. We're going to come through here. We're going to come down, like so. Come up here. Round off the top of that window. Yeah, I bet these windows were absolutely beautiful. I bet they had some stained glass in them that would just knock your eyes out back when they were new. Stained glass artists are amazing, absolutely amazing. I knew one, a gentleman by the name of Tommy Cookson. He had a shop in Baxter Springs, Kansas, of all places. He used to get business from all over the world. He was that good. Heard he moved down to Arkansas. Wish him well. Great artist. Great stained glass artist. Okay, so now you notice that we have this white area here. We have some notches there. We're going to go ahead and put those in. So we'll just come across with our black and dark sienna mixture. We'll just brush that shape in there like that. Adds a little bit of drawn into the painting. And then we're going to come right in here, like so. Like that. Put that notch in. I noticed I missed something over here, so we'll come back and get it. Right here, there's a crossbar. We need to put that crossbar in. Goes right across like that. And we'll put a little more dark on the outside here on this side, since that's where our shadow is. And we're going to call that one done. We'll call that one done. We'll come in here. Now we'll redefine this edge right here. All I'm going to do is come in with my dark, and I'm going to come right on the edge. If I get down here, then I'm going to blend this back in. Just without you touching it. Just blend it back. Just like that. Now I'm going to put the bottom on this window. This window's picking up a lot of light, so we're going to let it keep picking up light. Bring that down. And that takes care of that window. Now let's get our dark areas in here. Just lightly touch. Have some dark areas right down in here. Just want to lightly touch it. Some dark over in here. We're going to bring this up like so. Lightly touch through there, and then I'm going to blend these out. Just like that. Put my dark down in here. Dark up through here. Dark in here. A little bit right in this area, so we'll just bring a little bit down into there. I think I'll put a little more dark in this edge here on this window. I'm sitting here looking at it. There we go. Just like that. That's simple. Now, still using your dark, coming back down into this wall here, and just right on the edge, at a slight slant. Just right on the edge. Just with these little tiny marks like this. Come along the edge. That's your stone separation. Gives a little more detail and dimension to your painting. Just touch those edges. Let that paint pick up. There we go. Now, I mentioned that we had some light areas that we have to address. And we're going to do that right now. You're going to use your white, your titanium white. You're going to pick that up. Don't worry about getting any blue in it, okay? If you get any of that blue in it, that's fine. It's not a problem. Okay, I need to come into this window right here. Just, I need to add a little white in there. I don't know what that white is in the photograph. It's showing some white in that window, so I'm going to go ahead and add it. I'm going to pick up some more white. And there's a little touch of white here. Right in there. Like that. Put that in there. Then there's a little touch of white right here in that window, like that. Now we're going to come in here and we are going to add some highlight areas. The way we're going to do that is we're going to grab our white and we're going to just put very little white on the brush. See how I'm twirling that off there? This is that flat brush. This is that small flat brush. Okay. So, in these areas here where these pillars are at, you can see those pillars running through there. Right? That's how we're going to add. That's how we're going to add a little white. And I'm going to start down here at the bottom. I'm going to lightly brush some white in down here. Lighten up these areas. Right there. Grab this little bit on the brush, just a little tiny bit. Brush some areas down through here. I'm going to come on the edge of these windows and brush a little white down through there. I'm going to do the same here, just bring it on up, like so. And we'll do it here. Just brushing a little bitty tiny bit of white in there. Bring that up like so. Come in here. What we're doing is we're picking up the color that's already there and we're adding these little white highlights in here. Where the pillars are at and where there's supports, those are sticking out a little bit. So you want to just eyeballing this, try to come in there and add these little white highlights. You can see the difference that's starting to make in here. You don't want a flat structure. That's not what you're aiming for here. You're aiming for a well-defined, three-dimensional structure. Even though it's at a distance, there's still light and dark details your eyes will pick up, even at a distance. So you want to get those details in. See, I'm just going in and lightly adding that white on. You can see now that the pillars that you can see here, they're starting to emerge. Just by putting that little bit of white detail in there, that little bit of white highlight, just picking up the color that's already there and working it up. Just keep working that up. Just like that. Get those little white highlights in there. And the Abbey is taking shape. I'm going to pick up some color here, like so, and lighten that doorway. Lighten that up. There we go. I'm going to do the same up here at the top. Want to lighten this up. I'm going to throw a little bit right here. I want to throw some right here. I want to bring this down more to a point.
Do the same over on the other side. I want to bring that more to a point, so I'll just put my little bit of white there, and I'll bring it down. And it just touches through here of the white. And that finishes that tower, and that finishes this side, which is what we want to do. I'm going to blend some lighter color in here. There we go. So now, just by adding a little bit of white in here, we've really defined that side of the abbey. Now we're going to do the same in the tower. There's areas of white inside the tower. So we're going to go in here. We're going to add some of the lighter color down through there, like so. And there's some lighter color in here. It's almost like a separation in the stone. So we'll pick that up going across, just like that. Now, up above these arches, you see a line running along the top of those arches right there. That's probably a support for the arches, so we'll just we'll put our little bit of white up there above the arches to represent that support. You know, these grand structures were always meant to be or meant to honor God. Well, that's what they were intended for. But unfortunately, they were more for the glory of man than they were for the glory of God. And what I mean by that is these abbeys like this, they were bragging rights for the people that built them. King Oswey, I think I'm pronouncing that right, King Oswey, who was appointed by Charlemagne to rule over the Northumbrian area of Great Britain, is the one that started building this abbey. And these abbeys are not much different than the pyramids in Egypt. Those pyramids, as you know, if you know anything about history, they were built for the glory of the Pharaoh. Well, these abbeys masqueraded as built for the glory of God, but they were actually, in reality, built for the glory of man. And that's just really sad, you know. Got a little bit of paint on there. I can get that off. My side of my hand touched the canvas, and we'll get that off here in a second. We'll show you how we're going to do that, but let's get this done. Anyway, when we look at these structures today, we kind of marvel at them, you know, I do anyway. They're amazing, to say the least. And I really admire the effort that went into building them. I do. I admire that effort a lot, because I know it took a lot of effort to build these things. It would have been nice if when they were built, that they would have been for the glory of God, not for the glory of man. That would have made them even more special, but that's just not the way we are. We always want to leave our lasting impression on the world, you know? And our lasting impression should always be something that helps our fellow man. That's our lasting impression. That's our legacy. What did we do in the name of God to help our fellow man? Not what did we do in the name of God to help our own glory. So, do something today to help someone. Help a stranger. You know, don't expect any recognition for it. Just help them, to be helping them, because they need help. And then, next day when you wake up, help someone else. Keep that chain, keep that cycle going. What can you do on a daily basis to give some blessings back that you've received? Okay, you notice I'm just going through here and I'm just dabbing paint down through here right now, picking up these light areas. We'll blend these back like so, blend that back right through there like so, and we pretty well have defined the center tower. Center tower is done. Let's go out here and get these areas, okay? There's some real light area right through here that we want to grab. Right down through there. Just like that. Same way over here, there's some lightness that we need to grab over here. There we go. Let's go right down through here. Little light area through there. Blend that back out a little bit. Just by picking up the colors that are already there. That's all you have to do. We got a little bit of light underneath this window here and underneath this window here. So we'll put that in. And there we have that. Now let's go over here. Some light that comes up from the bottom here. Just come up here like so. Then we'll blend it back out lightly. We're going to do the same here. A little light right there. We're going to pick up the little bit of light that's right here. We'll come up through here like so. A little bit of light right there on that edge. Skip that. Then we'll come back down through here. And just a little bit right up in there too. Let's come back down through here like this. We'll get this through here. Come up through here. Get these areas. Blend those out down there. Let's just blend those out. And we'll get these through here. As you put in your light areas, just you can use a photograph to see where the light areas are, but also do what feels right to you. Does, you know, this particular thing feel right? Does that particular thing feel right? Does it look like it needs a little
a bit more lightness and less darkness in this area. Just do what you feel is right for you. That's all you have to do. Okay. And we are going to call the Abbey finished. Let's take care of this wall real quick. Come down here and add some light in there. Just come down through and touch your brush every so often, very lightly. Put a little light in there. Just touch it. Nothing is going to be uniform. All stone is different. Okay? Everything in the world is not identical. Each thing is unique unto itself. Stones are unique unto themselves, trees, people, animals, everything is unique unto itself. You know, they always tell you no two fingerprints are alike. Well, no two things are alike either. Nothing is absolutely identical. Even things that are manufactured and meant to be identical, they're not. There's differences. And when we discover those differences in different things, that's when it starts getting fun. That's when you can create a really cool painting. Okay, there's some mistakes in here I need to correct. So all I'm going to do, I just cleaned out that little flat brush that we had, right? I have this area here where I touch with my hand. I'm just going to kind of touch that a little bit. Make sure I have all the paint out of it. I'm going to grab just a very light little bit of the white and the blue, and I'm going to lightly touch that. I blend that back and out. Now if I have to go back in here later on, and fix this, I don't care. I can do that. It looks like I'm going to get most of it out right now, so I'm good there. I may go back in later and add a little more white in there. I don't know. Let's see if I can pick up something right now. Yeah, I'll leave that alone, take a look at it after it dries. Got some areas here that I need to kind of blend out a little bit that we got sloppy with. Come in here, I'm going to take a small amount of white. And blend down into here. The reason why I'm doing this is I'm not 100% happy with this window. And just full disclosure, I will probably go back in after this paint dries and redo this window, but I want to lighten it right now. Yeah, after the paint dries, I'll definitely go back in and redo this window. This is what I was talking about. You don't have to be 100% happy with what you do, because you can always go back in and correct it. Now what I'm going to do, just to give myself a running start on this, we'll go in there and I am going to take that paint out. I used a little bit thinner. Use a paper towel. Get the very edge of the paper towel.
I'm going to wipe that out. Just like that. So what I'm doing is I'm sucking up that paint and oil right now with the paper towel. So I went in and I sucked that up. Now, we'll come back in with this phthalo blue. Just going to kind of brush some phthalo blue in there, like that. I'm going to grab this white over here. Going to mix it back with the phthalo blue. We'll do it again. I'm going to grab some more white, mix it back with the phthalo blue. We'll fill that window back in. Smooth that out. A little more white. Picked up some brown there, which I did not want to do. Let's take it out. Just the edge of the paper towel. Just grab it. Get rid of it. And let's blend all that back in. Okay. So what will happen is I'm going to come back in later because I got this base in here. I've just created a base is what I've done. I'm going to come back in later after the paint dries and I'm going to redo that window because I wasn't happy with my lines in it. So I will be redoing that window. When you see the finished painting at the end of this video, pay attention to that window because I will have made the corrections to it at that time. Alright, now it's time for our graveyard. So what we're going to do is we're going to start making the graves here. We're not putting in the grass yet, we're just going to make the graves, and we're actually going to use a larger brush to put in the basic shapes of the grave. That concludes part 1 of the Whitby Abbey Cemetery. You saw us do the sky, you saw us do the abbey and detail it. Now in part 2, we're going to do the cemetery, we're going to do the grass, and you're going to find out how to correct some mistakes. Yes, as perfect as I'd like to be, I still make mistakes. I love Bob Ross, but he was wrong. There are no happy accidents. They are mistakes. And regretful mistakes sometimes. But being an artist, you can go in and correct them. So in part 2, I will show you how we do those corrections so that we can turn those regretful mistakes into happy repairs. So until part 2, this is your friendly neighborhood gypsy saying, may God bless and keep you and yours. Later, Gators. Bye-bye now.